Hey, viewers and viewers, my name is General Red Strategist. Welcome to So You're Being Hunted, another round, another podcast-style episode. That is, Phil this time is with me, aren't you, Phil?
I'm joining you again for a brief episode of So You're Being Hunted.
Yeah, indeed.
A little one. The last one, we had a little bit of fun.
Yeah. Indeed. We've just been playing Raft as well, just before we start recording this, and God, the sudden difference in mouse sensitivity. Suddenly, Sir is very sensitive.
Right.
Yeah, slightly different. So for a moment, I was like whirling the camera around just then. I apologise.
Like, whoa! Oh no, the sensitivity's all.
Oh, he's a bit flighty, isn't he? That Red.
It's a bit flighty.
Well,
interesting thing then that I was thinking of.
Oh, right.
If you can remember.
Oh.
So basically, what I was thinking of is things that you'd only really see in school when you're in school. So what I'm talking about here really is because I noticed that when I was at the gym, there was a football field near me, and they had those small, shallow cones.
Oh yeah,
the little white, the ones that came in. And you only ever used to see them quite frequently at school. You know, when you go be out in PE.
Yeah.
Just put the little cones out as you do football or something. So little things like that you just seem to see in school, and they're like hardly anywhere else.
Indeed, yeah.
And I always wonder, where the hell do you get those cones from?
Probably from specialist suppliers, for schools and all that. I was thinking of all like the arts and crafts materials that they would have. So like the PVC glues and things like that.
God,
like those,
you don't even see them there.
Like those little yellow plastic spatulas, whatever they were. It's like smearing glue on things.
God, that's it. Oh God, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it's crazy. Another thing. Always in the science lab, the Bunsen burners.
Oh yeah, indeed.
Yeah, they used to have a lot of them. We always had in our school. There was a bloody little cupboard with like everything in there.
Yeah,
that's Bunsen burners and these stands with the gauze on it.
Indeed. Yeah, I was just thinking, like for example, when in my high school in the science labs, because obviously instead of tables you had like the big long work benches.
That's it.
And of course, they'd have like the gas taps in them.
That's it. Yeah, the gas taps.
Indeed, and of course, it was controlled from obviously in every classroom there would be like the sort of the main valve for the gas that the teacher controls to switch it on and off. But of course, it would be typical that you get someone in the room who would sit there and under their breath would start making this noise. Like that. Yeah, and the teacher would be like, everyone quiet. Someone's got a gas tap switched on.
Yeah, because there would be those little flappy bits when they would turn the gas tap on.
Yeah,
I remember those little flappy bits.
Indeed.
In the labs.
Yeah. So there's always been one class clown who would do that and then just drive the teachers absolutely scatty. Because the teacher would be like, everyone quiet, shut up. Someone's not turned the gas tap on.
Someone's not turned it down. Yeah, another thing in the science labs, which I always remember, is those bloody goggles.
Oh yeah, the safety goggles.
The plastic goggles they always put on. Right, put your goggles on, everyone.
Yeah.
While we do these experiments.
These here experiments, yes.
And the famous where the teacher always liked to set the table on fire.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Indeed. Yes.
That was most of the science. I always remember in a majority of the classrooms as well, they always had like posters with all sorts of things. One like in the history class, you might find something on the side there about World War One. Various events of it, and in the English class there'd be how to construct a proper sentence.
Indeed. Usually I was it was fine. Usually they'd have like cheesy sort of motivational stuff sometimes in certain classrooms. Yeah. And there was one that I always remember though, and I always remember it because when I stop and think about it, I think to myself, I don't think the message on that really worked, but I always remember in one of the IT classrooms at my high school, they had a poster. It said, "Don't be a sheep, be a chameleon." And on one level you can sort of get what they're trying to say, but the metaphor doesn't work, because if you think about it, it's trying to encourage you to be, be an individual, be quite out there and interesting. But of course, if you're a chameleon, that means you just blend into the background.
Yeah, you just hide. Yeah.
Indeed. So the metaphor doesn't work. So I just for some reason that one always sticks in my head.
That was always sticks in your head. Yeah, there were always these quirky little things that you'd find in schools, like those things, and the and there's always the the kids who like to sit in the back.
Yeah, because they think they fancy themselves as the bad boys and bad girls of the class.
Yeah,
and
that's
all
it.
that. Yeah, and they would always sit at the back of the coach as well when you went on field trips and all that.
Oh God, yeah.
Indeed.
And there's always those ones who would never ever shut up. like the teachers trying to do their next thing, and they keep chatting, and they always just go, stop talking, stop it.
Yeah. Stop talking, you little gits. Indeed.
And they'll be the ones who always get detention a lot.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because they would never know how to stop talking.
Yeah. I was remembering, I'm trying to remember, is there anything else that I particularly remember from my school years? Things that you would only ever find in a school.
things like that, yeah.
Probably were. I probably just need time to think about it and remember.
Always at the front, there'd be like a little reception, wouldn't there?
Yeah.
where there'd be like a reception where you could go up to them. They have those little glass sliding door things.
Yeah.
At the front.
Indeed.
I'm here to see Jack.
Jack. Yes. Can I go home, Emil? Dearie me.
What about in the cafeteria?
Oh yes.
Or with certain lunch. Those fucking trays.
Oh God,
Yeah, all those plastic trays.
I particularly
compartments.
remember the ones from primary school where they had that. Because I didn't really actually use the cafeteria at my high school all that often, so I don't really remember it too well. But I can remember, obviously from primary school, whilst I never had hot meals, I always had packed lunch. But I can remember those trays that they had in primary school perfectly. Like you say, sort of plastic blue with different divisions on it.
Compartments.
For your main meal, and then your little pudding afterwards.
And then you drink as well.
Indeed, yeah.
All be there. Yeah, I used to have packed lunch, and we always used to have those lunch boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd open it up and.
Aye.
A sandwich and whatever have you, and then there used to be a big queue at our cafeteria.
Yeah.
People wanted to get their stuff.
If you had a packed lunch, you'd get your little flask with some drink in it, but usually you'd have to cling film the damn thing or put like a sandwich bag around it in case it leaks in your freaking box.
Oh God, yeah. You've got to think of that as well, because that can happen.
Also, is this something you did at your high school? But do you remember for certain classes they would have you friggin' laminate your books? Do you ever do that?
Oh, I think there was some occasions. Yeah, we didn't really tend to do a lot, but yeah. Oh God, I remember all the notebooks you had for each classroom as well.
Because I remember, like in some of my classes, particularly like the foreign languages classes, they would encourage you to like decorate your books, but then of course you'd have to like back them so they don't get too damaged and scuffed up.
Yeah.
That was always a pain in the ass because of course you have to get it exactly right, otherwise you end up with like those little like bubbles in the laminate where you've not quite put it down correctly.
I always used to remember like the first day when you're in the new year, you'd always get your new timetable.
Yeah.
looking where you are, where you're going and everything.
New timetables and all that. Yes.
New timetables. Yeah, that was at the start of the new year.
Yeah. God, it's quite a interesting transition though once you go from high school into things like A level and then obviously onto university, where it's like obviously in school you have very rigid timetables where throughout the day everything's set, and then you go to A level and beyond where it's suddenly like suddenly I've got all these free periods. And
yes, exactly. You get that
so
a lot
independent
when you're in college and all that. In college, especially in university, because you're just by taking one thing. But you have to go here and you have to do that.
Indeed.
And it was always like the maths books and the chemistry books would always be different to the others, because obviously you don't need the lines to write on.
Indeed.
You need special like graph paper.
Yeah.
Chemistry paper.
Yeah. I seem to remember, I feel like in maths class at my high school we often had more than one book with different types of paper in them. I think we had one that was lined just for like scribbling down basic sums. And then we had one that was probably like graph paper or like squared paper and stuff like that for like drawing shapes and graphs and things. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy these little things that you can remember from school, isn't it?
Yeah, weird little stuff like that. Oh yes. Yeah.
And always they had the playground as well.
Oh yeah.
Which you couldn't really do much because it was divided the way it is. Usually on when you had a break time, it was only like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
There's not a lot you could do. You could basically go out for a little bit, have a bit of air, and that was it.
Indeed. Yeah, primary school, remember that pokey little playground.
Yeah.
Only small. Then of course you get to high school and there's much more space with benches and other places you could go, tennis courts and all that.
Yeah, tennis court. What was what was the point of that break though? I mean, 15 minutes really isn't enough to do anything.
Not really. It's just for a leg stretch, I guess, because otherwise you sat there for hours on end. And of course that's not really an effective way to learn if you just sat there for hours and hours with the teacher droning on at you. So you got to have a moment every so often where you can just, at the very least, stretch your legs, get a breath of fresh air, and then continue. Yeah, at least for lunch break they gave you something a bit more sizable.
Yeah, just so you can have something. I do remember the clunky bloody textbooks they give you.
Yeah,
and some of them they don't let you. They take them at the end of the session.
Yeah, they don't trust you with them and all that.
Yeah.
I can still picture though the GCSE history textbook that we had. I can't remember, which publishing company it was. It's probably like Edexcel or something. But I just remember the front cover. It had like an illustration, a very dramatic illustration. It was like either a World War One or a World War Two scene of like a U-boat with the crewmen on it or something like that.
Oh yeah.
It was like a ship in the distance. Yeah. It was like a nighttime scene. It was very artistic.
I remember there's textbooks you could get which you can actually get from the store, which actually had humour in them.
Oh right, yeah.
Which textbooks were those? They actually did some fun things that were a bit funny as well.
Yeah.
Which was good. Made it learning a bit.
Made learning
better.
Fun. Yes. Yeah, they probably were. I can't really picture my maths textbooks though. I can't picture those. I don't remember them too well. There's one aspect though of the science textbook that we had that I can remember, because remember when you're like in year 7 and you're about 11 years old and you're very immature, and I can just remember like sitting in one of the science classes one day and several other lads in the class are like having a right giggle at something in the textbook and they're like, hey Andrew, check out page 36. So I did, and of course it's the freaking section all about sexual intercourse.
Yeah,
it's got like diagrams.
Sexual organs, yeah, of course, yeah. We learned about that in the biology.
Yeah, immature freaking 11-year-old kids are all like, yeah.
You're like, oh look at this.
Oh look at this. Oh, it's a penis. Oh yeah.
God. I remember when I was younger, I used to. Well, I will say I didn't used to. Like all the being out in the playground, and I didn't have a lot of friends, so I would just be in the library.
Yeah, well,
sitting there reading some books and everything.
Yeah. Library's a good place to be and all that. Indeed. Yeah, I remember. I can actually picture the library at my high school quite well. Still remember it. It was fairly good. It was like the main library building room itself, and then it had like a little annex with computers in it off to one side.
That was it. Yeah. Like the IT. I always like the. When you did IT, with all the various computers and various stuff.
Yeah.
Do you remember the music rooms? Like they had like some of them had like old crappy little music instruments that had been there for many years, and they were basically looking really decrepit.
I just remember the music classroom. Well, obviously the story with the music classroom in my high school was that originally it was in this pokey little fucking room right at the back of the school on the old sort of Elmhurst building. And it was just it was just such a pokey thing with just keyboards everywhere, and it was like eventually though they sold that building off, and then they were developing a new performing arts block, but of course I never got to see that because it was only really finished by the time I left. And instead, for most of my time there, music classes were held in a porter cabin. So that was unfortunate, but hey,
and they always have like these instruments that just basically have been falling apart.
Yeah. Indeed. I can sort of picture the primary school music room a bit better though, because that, like I say, had all the instruments pretty much everywhere, just all over the place. So that was
yeah.
True. But of course they never let you in there because they know that if you let little kids in there, the first thing they do is going to get to the drums and start banging like crazy on them.
Yeah.
Indeed.
That's why when you have kids, just watch out with have noisy neighbours.
Indeed, yeah.
With all the various different equipment.
Yeah. If you have kids...
What is annoying about schools and everything is the fact that we have to wear school uniform.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Especially if it's like a really dreary school uniform, like the ones basically at my high school, which just like is the most dreariest. Basically, it's trousers and a jumper and a shirt, and it's just the most kind of dull colours possible.
I don't know, because obviously in some countries like the US, they don't wear uniform.
Indeed.
You can sort of wear what you want.
Yeah. Indeed they do. But yeah, I always remember though in the final years of my high school they started updating the school uniform. They made it something a bit smarter,
more jazzy.
a bit jazzier. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Because it can be interesting when you have the uniform, and they always, because it had a tie as well, and you had to learn how to do a tie and everything.
Indeed, when you're a kid and you learn how to do a tie for the first time, it's like going all over the place. Yeah.
Did you take the bus to school, or did you walk?
Walk, yeah, because it was very close to where I was.
Yeah. It was very close for us.
Yeah, indeed. It's much easier to just walk. But yeah, I mean, obviously when I went to A level, then I had to obviously get the bus because I was in a different town. So yeah, it was good though.
In a different place, yeah. Just these little things that you remember from school, isn't it? Really.
Yeah. Get the bus in, and then to Preston bus station. From there, walk down to the college. Preston bus station, which everyone goes on about it being having its claim to fame of being the largest bus station in Europe, which makes it sound really grand, but it's actually just a
huge,
scratty. It's huge, but it's scratty as hell.
Oh God, isn't it? Yeah, it's horrendous.
It is. Nothing really special about it at all.
No, it's pretty dilapidated.
Yeah. But God, I always remember though when I was doing my A level. Sorry, I know this isn't really school anymore, but from Preston bus station, you take the underpass from it and you get into the Guildhall. And I always remember as students, we would go there like mornings, go to Gabbett's Farm, which was a shop where you could just get hot food. And for £1, you get like a little bag with like 8 little spring rolls in it, or like little chicken goujon bites or something. Which, proper student food, you'd eat it, but God, it probably wasn't healthy for you at all. Probably full of God knows what, greasy and horrible.
They did when you were
indeed.
We didn't have much money in university, and they all survived on the old ramen.
Yes, ramen, pot noodles.
I know, it's very sexist that. Where's the raw women?
The raw women, yeah.
The raw women.
Indeed, yes. You'd eat those sorts of foods, you'd have them, and then the next morning you'd probably wake up with zits all over your face. But
that's it, yeah. Good old acne.
Acne, indeed.
It was all about when.
It was indeed. Yeah, it's always funny though, some kids used to get acne really, really bad and others just wouldn't get it.
Yeah. Depends how you hit puberty, wasn't it?
Yeah, because I can always remember one lad in my year at high school who got acne real bad, just like across his cheeks and across his chin. It's just like, God, yeah. It's unfortunate, but hey, that's the beauty of your teenage years. when you're
in school.
Yeah, when your body's going through many changes and all that.
Sometimes you like school, some people like school, some people don't.
Yeah.
It just depends how you find it, and you always got the talkative ones who you can always think always in detention all the time, and then they get suspended and then they get excluded.
Yeah.
School's not right for them.
Indeed, yeah. God, I'm also now trying to picture, for example, my old high school yearbook when it had old class photos from when we were in year 7 and then class photos from when we were in year 11. And it's like looking at just how much people changed in those 5 years, but also last time I looked at it, it was also kind of sobering because obviously there were faces in there of people who I didn't really remember because either in after year 7 or something, some of them left and I'd just forgotten about them. But there was also one that was quite sort of saddening as well, because when I think it was in year 7 or 8, there was a girl in my year who died, and of course there was a page that was basically a dedication to her in it.
Oh God!
Yeah, there was a girl
what happened?
Basically, from what I remember, I think she was in a car accident.
Shit,
yeah, basically she was in a car accident, I think, with a friend and an older relative or something. This relative who had been speeding and lost control.
Oh no, and she went.
Yeah, she died.
I had a sort of incident in university, unfortunately, where it wasn't a car crash, but someone in the year we started, and I think I did see him once. Unfortunately, died from meningitis.
Yeah, it's always kind of sad, isn't it? Yeah, I can still remember her name though. This kid who died when I was in year 7 or 8. I can still sort of picture her to this day because she was one of those kind of kids who I think a lot of people knew and a lot of people talked to. So she was quite talkative and had a lot of friends. But
oh dear, it's horrible when these things happen because you think what a life they could have had ahead of them.
I know. Yeah, but it's just one of those things where having you know, having it been so many years since I saw that yearbook, I'd forgotten about it, and then I just opened the yearbook once when I was back up north visiting family. I just thought, oh yeah, do you remember this yearbook? And I was like, oh yeah, I wouldn't mind having a look at that again. And I did, and of course I saw the page with her on it, and I was like, oh.
And you had it. I don't even know if I was still a yearbook.
Yeah.
I remember when they used to do those things where they used to do those terrible drawings on the towels of each student.
Oh god, yeah, that was like a primary school thing, I think, where they like got all the kids, especially when they're in reception class, draw yourself, and it would be like a really squiggly face. Yeah,
And then they put it all on a bloody towel.
indeed. It's like a squiggly face, and of course, because you're a tiny little kid of about 5 years old who doesn't know proper body proportions or how to draw, it's like your arms will be coming out the sides of your head.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed.
I couldn't draw non-stop. It's all stick figures for me.
Yeah.
It's all about
Stick figures indeed. Yes.
stick figures and houses and always the sun in the corner.
Yeah. Tell you what was like a high school thing though that I do remember in IT, because obviously like during break times they would just let you go in and use computers if you wanted, but of course what you'd often get were kids who just went in there to play silly flash games on the internet. And and the teacher would always be like, these computers are not for playing games, they're for doing work on. Yeah. Indeed, there was.
That was IT.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. I think that's a good place to wrap up. We've had interesting things we've had a chat with about things at school and everything.
Yeah, we have indeed. It's always funny. God, that's really brought back some memories, though.
Hasn't it? Yes,
that's
what I was thinking. Because I was just seeing those cones, and it just got me thinking about various things that you see in schools and remember from there.
Got you reminiscing, did it? Reminiscing about the years when you used to go down to school with your little propeller hat and all that.
Oh God, yeah. I think that's a very American thing now.
Yeah, that's like an American cartoon thing. Little kid with a weird stripy propeller hat on and all that.
Yep, indeed.
Yes, indeed. All right, well, we'll wrap up here then. Facebook and links down below, along with the links to my propagandist channel for anyone interested. And if you enjoyed, a like is of course always appreciated. Don't know why I'm saving the game, because I'm probably going to delete this map soon afterwards, since it's just a random map we created. But yeah, thanks for joining me there, Phil.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, everybody. But yeah, I just remember like the demo had sort of two particular levels to it. There was like a level set on a tropical island. There was a level set in sort of like an ancient mine or something, from what I remember. It's been a long, long time. It's been years, ladies and gentlemen. So yes, there will be things that I absolutely forgot. Yes, show me the trick. You know, I think I've talked about a similar subject over on my Surrey Being Hunted series before, platforming franchises that never survived, kind of the 90s. Because the thing is, oh god, looks like there's a flight area in this part. Yeah, I did a Surrey Being Hunted episode quite some time ago where I'd watched an Outside Extra video, which was literally about that subject, on platforming franchises that people maybe don't really remember.